I guess I'll start off because I've got the microphone, so I've got the first you get the microphone, then you get the power, then you get the money. I will give you the short version because people are always like, how'd you become a voice actor? Or more importantly, how do I become a voice actor? But not I, because I already am one. How do you become a voice actor? For me, it was dumb luck. Well, dumb luck when the door opened, predicated by lots and lots of preparation to run through and be like, I'm here! Back in the day, my mom taught at a high school, and every year the high school would do a musical. Instead of doing like numerous plays or shows throughout the year, they would just do one gigantic old school musical, Annie Get Your Gun, Oklahoma, Fiddler on the Roof, South Pacific, like that sort of like old school musical. That was their thing. They would, and I went to this tiny little private Catholic school that, you know, would just about fit on your program book. So we'd rent an auditorium, we'd rent the sets, they'd get together an orchestra, we'd do this thing. And for being high school kids, it was pretty legit. So what they would do, who here has done theater before? A couple people. Okay. Well, those of you that have not done theater, those of you that have done theater will know this all too well. Those of you that have not done theater, when you get into Tech Week, or the last 2 weeks before the show starts, you're actually in the rehearsal space, running the show with the sets, with all these elements put together. They're long days and evenings, and during the day, you're usually a zombie. Even more so than you usually are in high school. And so what the musical would do is, not as a bribe, per se, but as a goodwill gesture, they would give tickets to the teachers. Sort of a, hey, thanks for supporting the production. And by supporting the production, I mean not, you know, flunking out all of your theater kids in class who are like sleeping through your class these last couple days. So my mom would take me to see these shows. So from a very young, impressionable age, I'm watching these old school musicals being done. So then when I'm old enough, you know, I'm starting up high school, I just thought, well, I guess I should go try it for the musical. Like, I'm not saying you can't be a freshman in high school and be capable of introspection, but I clearly was not. Like, there was no plan to it. There was no thought. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to do the thing because I'm here now. That's as deep as that thought went. Tried out for The King and I, got into The King and I. One glorious thing about doing theater, especially the younger you are, is they're always going to need guys. They will deal with whatever weaknesses you have because, oh my God, do they need guys. And if you're a bass, because I've sounded like this from like 15 onward, they will find a way to make it work. Can't dance, fine. Have no legs, whatever. We will, on fire, great. We will make it work. And so they made it work. So I started doing these musicals, and I got the acting bug. I'm like, this is fun. I like this. Started doing the shows, started taking acting lessons, taking singing lessons, doing musicals, doing plays. And then in college, I didn't major in theater because that would be, that wouldn't be very practical. I majored in creative writing. That's far more practical. It's really not. Man, if I could do a redo on that. But around the age of 19 or 20, I was like, holy crap, I live in Southern California. I can just move to LA and be an actor. It's just as easy as that. Right? I'm going to show up, they're going to be like, oh my God, thank goodness you're here. Here's the script. We start shooting Monday. Whew. We dodged a bullet on that one. And it's not that I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. It's just I was 20 and had no idea how the world worked. Not saying that you guys don't. You could be 20 and know exactly how the world works. I was a sheltered child. Thought it would be just that easy. So I finished college as fast as I possibly could, which again, creative writing, you know, it's a thing you can do. I took B's in beekeeping for my biology requirement. Yeah, no, but that was a hard class actually because the guy who taught it was like one of the nation's experts on bees, and he was so mad that all these people were taking it as like a BS whatever biology class. So he made that shit hard. But still was bees and beekeeping, so whatever. Moved out to LA and spent the next year and a half learning life lessons. Life lessons. Which is code for life, like kicking me in the mouth while I'm down and being like, what did you learn? What did you learn? Because I didn't know anything. I'd never been on my own before. I'd never had roommates before. I'd never lived in LA. I'd never tried to do this weird thing. So I worked these crap jobs at night to leave my days open for auditions that frankly I didn't know how to get. It wasn't a great system. So I did that for a year and a half, and then one day was the day after Christmas. I was living in Westwood by UCLA, and the thing about UCLA is they've got all these apartment buildings and duplexes, and they're just crap. They're just crap. They're these old, crappy buildings, and the people who own them never have to put any money into them because they know they've got a captive market. You go into UCLA, you're going to want to live near UCLA. You're going to pay whatever we're asking. We're not going to reinvest any of the money. So I'm living in this crap-ass apartment, and all of my roommates, who were still students, were at home having family time. It's Christmas. Yay, the holidays, Yuletide. So I'm there by my lonesome, and it's dark, and it's cold, and the wind is blowing in through the cracks in the windows. Oh, yeah, it gets worse. And my hands are so cold, I go and I put socks on my hands for warmth. And I remember looking at my hands, my besocked hands, as it were, and I'm like, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit, and I'm moving home. So I moved back to my hometown. I was a high school teacher for a couple years, got myself out of debt, felt like I had a purpose, blah, blah. But the important thing is, while I was in LA, while all that horrible stuff was happening, the lady that I'd been doing the musicals with all those years in my teens said, you've got an interesting voice. For low, I did. It was this. You might want to try voiceover. Pursue that on the side. I'm like, yes, when I'm not busy doing the on-camera thing, I will pursue the voiceover. So I took a bunch of classes, made a demo, and just happened to get in with this one company on what was only their second or third dub ever. So they were noobs. I was a noob. It all sort of noob worked out. And that's an important thing. Like, there was an audition, said for animation, didn't say anime. I didn't really know about anime. So I sent them my demo, and they brought me in, they had me audition. I heard nothing, and then a month later, they called and were like, you were the first person we had audition, and we auditioned a bunch of other people, and we liked you best, so come in. I'm like, yay! And that was for Amazing Nurse Nanako. Whoa. When you hear a lightsaber, you stop. You have to be ready. Not that I know what sort of defense I would mount against a lightsaber. I don't have a lightsaber myself. I've got a rolled up program. It wouldn't work very well. I could just Foley the sounds. So I got in on Amazing Nurse Nanako. Had one job that first year. Yay! That second year I had 2 jobs. Yay! Third year I had 4 jobs. Now you can tell incrementally this works. Like, if day 1 I give you 1 penny, and then I give you 1, then 2, then 4, then 16. Like, if you keep going up like that every day, by the end of the month you have $1 million. You guys have seen that whole word problem before. Didn't work out like that, but eventually the work, you meet other companies, you meet other actors, they introduce you to people, things pick up. And then, out of nowhere, I got the offer to direct and adapt a show called Girls Bravo. What? Ask Peaches about that show. And so between the directing, the adapting, and the acting, I mean, things will get slow in one of them, but once you've been doing it long enough, if you do enough different things, then hopefully you're doing enough to pay your rent. So it's been my real job now for 12 years, which is weird. Because I look at the people that did this stuff back in the Robotech days, and I'm like, how do you do that? How do you make this a job that you can do for 25, 30, 35 years plus? I don't know the answer to that yet. I'm just sort of figuring out as I go, because I don't want to go back to the real world. I would be ruined in the real world. You want me to sit in this desk for how long? And do what? I'd be like a third strike felon in a high-speed freeway chase. I'm not going back to jail. I can never go back. I'm ruined for the real world. If this acting thing doesn't work out, they're going to have to put me on a wild animal preserve. Just let me live out my days in peace. Your donations will feed me. Which actually, if you think about the anime industry, they really already do. Thank you guys for buying anime and helping me pay my rent. Anyway, I've babbled long enough. Thank you guys, it was great. No, I'll take some questions. Who's got a... Yes.
What do you think on the character Loxus?
I like him. He's such an ass. Loxus from Fairy Tail is fun, and there's been more of him than I thought there would be. I thought after the Fighting Festival arc, that was it. Okay, he had a good run. He yelled a lot. He tried to fight. Got his ass handed to him. That's the arc. But then he's been around after that, so I'm like, okay, good times. I like it. Yeah. Although I will say during the Fighting Festival arc, at one point, Natsu and Makarov were talking about something. I think they were just explaining how this whole thing works. So having this long expositional scene, And in the background, the whole time, Lox is just being like, like he just kept powering up. He wasn't attacking yet. He just wanted to be ready for that moment when they stopped talking and the fighting resumed. It was horrible. I'm like, it's like they're kamehamehaing in the background when nothing is happening over and over again. That's not how that's a waste of, oh, okay, fine, yes, let's do it. I remember that was 3 days of recording, and that wrecked me about as bad as anything has. Because then I went right back to LA after that and had a game session, was like, I'm a little scratchy today. Because when I go down to Texas to work on stuff, you know, if I were in Texas, it would be a matter of like, okay, I'll do a couple hours this day and a couple hours that day, but I'm coming in from LA. So when I go down to Texas, it's like, okay, we're going to record 12 hours today and 12 hours the next day and maybe 12 hours the next day if there's still stuff to do, which is how they roll down there. I mean, you have to realize that the Texans, especially, like the old school Texans, the one who like started all this stuff and came up with Dragon Ball, they're Vikings. They're Vikings. They will just yell all damn day. Like it ain't no thing. So as the Angelino, I couldn't show up and be like, I've got a little bit of vocal fatigue. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow. Like you can't be that guy. You just have to be a Viking with them. And luckily, they have embraced me. They're a lovely, accommodating bunch who can scream circles around us all day, which is good. I do a lot of screaming. That's sort of become my thing these last couple of years. Like, is there a monster? Is there a demon? Is there screaming? Does he yell a lot? Is he Gamagoori? Is he Keith from Attack on Titan? Is there yelling? Is it going to sound like there's blood in his throat? Let's hire Seitz. And it's great having a niche. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like that they can turn to me for stuff like that. But every now and then I'll get like a bunch of auditions, and it'll be like, for this dude and that dude and this dude and that dude and this dude and that dude and a monster. And I already know how this is going to pan out. I've got a hunch. Sometimes I'm like, should I even read for these people or just the monster? Like the people with like faces, speak words, should I? You know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to read for them. Although I will say, who here played Shadows of Mordor? Couple people, all on the side, very random. That's the Lord of the Rings game, and the auditions for that came up, and there were all these orcs, all the orcs in the world, so many orcs. And then like one thing of human copyright, people like, please sir, don't kill us, could you save us, please, please sir, please. And so I read all the orcs, because I'm like, dude, if it's going to be anything, it's going to be an orc. Like, I know how this is going to go. And I almost didn't read for the human, because I'm like, come on, it's crazy talk. Humans? Nah. And that's what I got cast as. It was so weird when I went in to record. I think I had 2 sessions ultimately on that game, and it was being co-directed by J.B. Blanc, who's a wonderful, wonderful TV and voice actor, and then Liam O'Brien, who's a wonderful voice actor. And each time I went in for them, I went in and they're like, okay, you know, J.B.'s like, okay, which orc you playing, mate? I'm like, I'm playing a human. He's like, what? No, what? That's crazy. All right, human then, get in. Yeah, it blew their minds. I'm glad, because it blew my mind too. I'm like, see? They thought I was going to be a monster too. Because in my soul, I am. No. I should take another question. That was a good question. I had a long answer. You've got a hand?
2 questions. The first one is, what do you think of how all those years used to be set up so that a bunch of newbie actors kill a bunch of veteran voice actors like you and Thornton and Carey?
The circle of life, the wheel of fortune. No, I hadn't thought about it that way, but now I'm all paranoid. I feel like I gotta watch my back. Thanks for taking something perfectly innocent and making me paranoid about it.
It just seems like a really amazing setup. You have like all the good guys or all these people that showed up recently, like Max Middleman, Erica, Christine, and then you have all the bad guys, you, Thornton, like all these big time voice actors.
Because we're old enough to drive a mech. They've got like their fake ID on them. I tell you that Max, he seems all nice and unassuming, but he's like a Wolverine. He'll just kill you. He'll kill you from the ground up. Oh, mech shows.
The other question was, you've worked in a lot of different studios over the years, like Animated and Salami Studios and Vancouver Studiopolis. How do they differ in how they operate?
I mean, I think the biggest difference would just be some studios do just games. That's like their whole gig. Some studios do mostly anime with a little bit of game work. Some studios are doing a lot of Western stuff where it's mostly prelay animation, and they do a little bit of anime. I mean, that's the big difference. Just sort of their MO as far as what they're usually working on. Like, is anime their day in, day out kind of thing, or is it the thing they just sort of do on the side? And then just size of the studio. I mean, you know, a place with 8 rooms running is just going to be a little different as far as the feel than a place with like 2 rooms running, just as far as the hustle and the bustle and what's going on. But it's all, I mean, it's the same. It's the usual suspects. Everyone's pretty much doing things the same, and as far as the people coming through on the VO end, it's all the same folks. So, not a huge difference. Probably the biggest difference would be the fact that anime-wise, Funimation in Texas, since they are also doing the licensing, it's all happening top-down in the same building, and it's not the American arm of a Japanese company. It is just an American company from top to bottom. So sometimes that's a different sensibility as far as like the notes you're getting back on scripts, the feedback you're getting, or what you're allowed to do or what you're not allowed to do. And not across the board, but that's just sort of a general note. When you're not having to like bounce it across the ocean and wait a couple weeks for an answer, things can move a little bit quicker. So that's the big difference. There was a hand, let me check over here. There was a hand in front of you. Let me try blonde hand and then I'll swap back over here. I want to make sure I'm not ignoring the left side of the room.
Have you ever tried tech theater? Ever?
Tech theater.
Tech theater, yeah.
Like being a theater tech? Like being a, like...
Yeah, like lights and sound, climbing on ladders, going on the fly rail, pulling...
Oh, I suck at that. I suck at that so hard. I mean, no, I've done a little bit. There are a couple shows that I assistant stage managed back in the day, with emphasis on the assistant. Like, they wouldn't leave me to my own devices. Those lights would never come on. No, I've got a lot of respect for the people that do that and do that well, because my brain does not work out. It's sort of the same way I feel about people that do cosplay and make props or draw things. Like, there are things I'm good at, but when it comes to practical, technical, build this thing, make that thing, make it move from point A to point B, I suck at that. Like, I'm really not good. I was always the guy in college when we would have, like, the teardown days after a show. You know, there'd be the people that really knew what they were doing, who they'd send up, like, you know, into the rafters to deal with the flats. And then there's me, they're like, here's a hammer, pull nails out of wood. Try not to impale yourself on the claw end of the hammer while you're at it, Seitz. I'm like, okay. And they were right to do that. I mean, the shop manager looked at me and sort of assessed me and knew what I was capable of. I would be barfing and then I would fall. And then there would be a lawsuit. Yeah, no, I'm... It's fun down here. I love it down here. Because I already fall, but now I'm just falling at, you know, maximum. If I hit my head, I'm falling from a height of like 6 feet 3 inches. I'm not plummeting to my untimely stage death. Oh, God. Back over at Peaches.
As you were doing the direction for Girls Bravo, what was going through your mind in terms of the story?
I can never teach high school again. I really I remember thinking that many times early on, like working on that or working on Helsing, or I forget what all I was thinking to myself, like I really need to make this acting, directing, writing thing work, because I can't go back to the private Catholic high school that I taught at after Girls Bravo. Like, that's not gonna fly. My innocence was gone. Like, sooner or later, somebody will find this. And there will be a meeting in the principal's office, and I will no longer have a job. It's weird, though. Some of my students, I still run into them at anime conventions in California. Some of my former students are like, Mr. Seitz! I'm like, I haven't been Mr. Seitz in a long time. I feel like Gandalf. That is a name I've not heard in a very long time. Yeah. I remember when I was a teacher, I actually threw a kid out of class. Like, physically threw a kid out of class. They don't smile on that. There was this one kid, I taught seniors. I was 23 and they were having to teach seniors because I had a beard and low voice. Nobody knew. And there was this one kid that all the teachers warned me about. He'd just been trouble the entire time he'd been there. Now he was a senior. Everyone warned me. And it was the last class of the day. Nobody wanted to be there because the seniors all were able to get out of period early unless you messed up somehow and then you were in my class. So they were already starting out with a chip on their shoulder. And this kid just like always disruptive, always bugging out other people, always hijacking the conversation. And so eventually what I did, I just like sat him next to the door and sat the other 10 kids like over here. I'm like, all I can do is just like physically separate you guys for whatever that's worth. And this one other kid was acting up, so I'm like, let's go talk in the hall. And so I'm telling him to get his shit together. And the door clicks locked behind me. Now I've got my keys in my pocket. This is not an insurmountable issue, but by now it's like a month into the school year and I'm officially done with this kid who sat right next to the door that just locked. So I take my keys and unlock the door, as you are, want to do with keys. Go in there and I grab him by the shirt, lift him out of his desk. And he was surprised by this, because he always thought, like, I can just be a jackass and do whatever I want, because what are they going to do to me? Well, they're going to lift you out of your chair today. So lift him out of his chair, drag him to the door. He gets his hands in the doorway like a cat going into a cat carrier, like I'm taking him to the vet. He's like, let go of me, Mr. Seitz, let go of me, Mr. Seitz. I'm like, if I let go of you, will you leave the room? He's like, maybe. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Grab his arm, fling him out the door, into the hall, close the door, and lock it. Those other 10 kids, they were peeing. Like, they just looked up at me like, the one thing we thought we knew for sure in life was that you couldn't, like, manhandle us. And you just did. Our whole life is a lie. They were so well behaved the rest of that week. So then, it was last period of the day, so then I went, the bell rang, and I went up to the principal's office, and I'm like, hey, principal, I did a thing that probably I shouldn't have done. And I told her, and she was like, yeah, if it had been any other kid, that'd probably be a problem. And I said, if it had been another kid, I wouldn't have done it. So it worked out. Eventually, he got expelled for being a jackass, and the other teachers were like, the new guy's the Dragon Slayer. He defeated the ancient evil. It's like, just gotta throw that kid's ass out the door. So that's what I thought. That's what I thought when I was working on these things. And Girls Bravo, I really lucked out, because think about the people I had. I had like Michelle Ruff and Liam O'Brien and Yuri Lowenthal and Stephanie Shea. It was the first thing I worked on. So I was a noob director making noob director mistakes, but the cast that I had was just amazing. And and I think it holds up. It's a funny show. I watch it now and I'm like, oh, I would have fixed that, or I could do better with the mouth flap on that part, or oh, he said the same word that he said 2 lines ago. And definitely, like, I see things I'd want to fix, but I think it holds up. Like, I'm not ashamed of it, and I had great people working on it. It's just something you can't show your parents. Especially that second season where the intro is like all the girls and they are just naked. They are just naked. It's no dime a dollar. It comes from a simpler time. There are no like front tails on the penguins. Everyone's like, we don't know what dime a dollar is. Somebody out there is lying. Some of y'all know exactly what dime a dollar is. Think on that. Other questions over here? I should. Second row, yes, with glasses.
I just wanted to ask if you use your voices for like pranking or like going to a drive-thru, like saying something. Voice for you.
I usually don't, only because I figure with especially the anime, it's niche enough that I never know like who would get it and who wouldn't. You know what I mean? Although there was, I remember a dude in the place I used to live who, going through the McDonald's drive-thru, he had like the Horde symbol tattooed behind his ear on his neck, and I thought to myself, man, if I could be sure it was going to be him working the window, I would totally like do the Garrosh voice when I ordered my food. But I'd have to make sure it's him, because if not, I'd roll up to the window and it'd be like, demon, demon, and they'd throw hot coffee on me. And I don't want to chance that. Although, this isn't doing it to prank people, but you know that when you call up like customer service or whatever and they've got that automated phone thing, and they're like, just say your answer. It never can understand me. Unless I go like this. They call up like, how can we help you? Customer service. I'm sorry, I couldn't make that out. Customer service. I'm sorry, could you say your choice again? Customer service. You said customer service, is that correct? Yes. All right, connecting you to customer service. Like, I'll have whole phone conversations like that, and then I have to remember to stop doing that when I finally get to a real person, because I don't want to be like a jackass about it. But it's the only way it'll pick up is if I do that. Oh, hate those things so bad. So bad. Oh, I should do garage in the drive-thrus. And I keep telling myself if I ever get mugged, if I don't like just wet myself and hand over my wallet, which is more than likely, maybe I'll do the garage voice and they'll be like so like freaked out I can run away. But they're gonna have to be really, really freaked out because I am not a fast runner. So like they're gonna see me loping off in the distance for a while. And I don't know how long they're gonna be like, I think that fat dude was possessed. Like, I don't think that's gonna... Or they're gonna be like, oh my God, my main is I play Horde. That's so great. I've got a couple Lions tunes. Then we like talk about Warcraft, and he gives me my wallet back. Maybe punches me once just to make it look legit. I don't know. I haven't had to cross that bridge yet, but someday I'm sure. Other questions? Ooh, with the hat.
I've got two, is that all right?
Maybe. We'll see how the first one goes.
First off, would you say having any sort of speech impediment might hurt you trying to get into voice acting?
I mean, if it's something that you can't get around, then yes. That said, there are, and I won't say who because I don't know if it's something they themselves have really come out with, but I know people that work all the time that used to have speech impediments that got them dealt with. Went to a speech therapist and got it worked on. So really, it's only an issue if it's something that you can't mitigate, and a lot more things can be, excuse me, can be mitigated than you would think, right? But when he acts, he doesn't stutter, and he's done okay for himself. I think that kid's gonna make it. So yeah, no, that's not an issue at all. I actually worked with somebody recently who's on the newer end of things, and they've got this lisp, which works for some characters, but then I had the conversation with them and said, look, if this is something you want to keep doing, unless you just want to be playing that one kind of character, you're gonna have to work on it. It's not a diss, didn't want to make them feel bad, just like, hey, heads up, the more things you can sound like, people you can sound like, the more you're gonna work. So, but yeah, no, that's not like an insurmountable problem at all. What was your second question?
So you voiced Dio?
Yup.
Can I get a preview at all for that? Possibly. I'll let you wear the hat.
It was me.
But I didn't do the ree. I screamed. I didn't go like ree. Feel like a pig at a barbecue. Ree. It's a little early for the Dio, but I can give you a little bit. He's just sort of evil. And then he puts on the mask and does the thing. But yeah, no, he screams. There's some screaming. It's good. There's screaming. There's a dude in the dealer hall who made the mask.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, I ended up taking a selfie with one. Because he had a sign that said, like, pick up a mask, take a selfie. I'm like, oh, you know it. I'm taking a selfie with that mask. So I tried to do the whole, like, hee-hee thing. But, damn, those masks are awesome. Yeah, no, Dio, I'm glad we got to go back. Because we did those test episodes of Part 3, like a year and a half ago. And then we didn't know, is anything going to come of it? They put them online for a short time to see if there was interest. But they put them online right during AX. So I didn't know if people knew, if people watched, and then they took them down real quick. So I didn't know if during that short window, if it had garnered enough interest for them to dub it. But I'm glad they went back. I'm glad we got to do it with accents. And I got to write a lot of my own dialogue, actually, because I adapted the first 7 episodes of Part 1, and then nothing in Part 2 until like the very end. It was very strange, because then I had to watch the rest of it being like, what's up with these pillar men? Dude turned his hand into a squirrel. What is... No, God, it's an evil squirrel. I just remember the part where the evil squirrel's like, like going through people like it JoJo, man. I can't even. I don't know. I got the JoJo songs on my playlist because sometimes you want to feel like a badass, and you're a weeb. It's a good question. Just want to check over here. Make sure I'm not ignoring you guys. Yeah.
How did you get the character for Frankie in One Piece?
Oh my God, good question. I still don't know. No, the way Frankie happened was way back in the day, you know, just by virtue of doing conventions, I got to meet the Texans and made friends with Mike McFarlane, who's the director for One Piece. And he said, hey, you know, come on down, you can work on some stuff. And so I'm down in Texas doing like incidental fishmen for One Piece. And I think at that point I already gone down and done Nekozawa for Oron, but this was still like really early on. Then Nekozawa was one of the first times I got to be funny in something, because in LA they're like, oh, you got a low voice, be a villain, be a villain, be a villain. And then Caitlin was like, be the silly high schooler who has the black magic club. I'm like, yay! So down in Texas, working on little incidental characters for One Piece, and the Unlimited Adventure, the game that came out on the Wii, was coming up, and so, with the game being way further ahead than where they were in the show, there were all these characters that hadn't come up yet, and they had to cast them. So Mike said to me, hey, do you want to audition for these characters? If you book one, you're going to have to literally come right back, like 2 days from now, and record it, because it's happening later this week. I'm like, sure, whatever. Yeah, I'd love to. So, read for Frankie. Don't remember if I read for anybody else, but I definitely read for Frankie. Finished up, went home. The minute I get home, he's like, you booked it, come back. I'm like, yay! So I came back, did like 3 or 4 hours of work on the video game, on Unlimited Adventure, and then he's like, okay. And then we're going to get to him in the show. It's going to be great. A month later, I'm like, is it time? No, not yet. Another couple months. Hey, Mike, is it time for One Piece? Not yet. How about now? Not yet. After a while, I learned to stop asking, because I realized how far away from Frankie they were. And then they went back and they redubbed the first stuff, too. So like 6 or 7 years later, they finally get to Frankie in the show. And I didn't want to assume anything. I'm like, if I get to be Frankie in the show, that's cool, but, you know, if they change their mind or whatever, I understand. I would have cried so hard. But then he's like, no, dude, it's still you, obviously. I'm like, yay! So when we did Frankie, it was awesome. But I had to wait so damn long between that video game. And in the meantime, people are like, give me a super. I'm like, I've done 4 hours on him for a game half a decade ago. I'm not setting myself up for failure like that. just gonna wait till we get to him in the show. That's what I'm gonna do. I love Frankie so much. I love One Piece so much. One Piece, if I ever break both my legs, and I cannot go out in the world, I'm going to finally get caught up with One Piece. Well, no, how else is it going to happen? There's hundreds. When they started showing One Piece on TV, the Funimation had this thing where they took one of their guys that worked there, and they were going to have him watch One Piece like 12 hours a day from the beginning of the show through to where it was picking up on TV. And they had a camera in there. You could watch him online. You could watch the guy watching One Piece. And so he started this process of watching One Piece 12 hours a day, day after day, locked in this little room. And after about a week, he started kind of losing his mind. And then eventually there was a storm coming through Texas and they lost electricity. And at that point they're like, you know what, let's call it. Let's call it. It's had a good run. We don't want this guy to like jump out a window. We're good. We're good. I think they looked at it as a blessing. Like we can stop this experiment and still save face. Because he was getting a little cabin fevery. But One Piece is awesome because you've got pirates, which are awesome. And you've got friendship, which is awesome. And you've got interesting character design, which is awesome. I mean, I collect some figures. I don't go crazy, but if I were a full-on figure collector, One Piece, I'd have to turn to a life of crime because they're all different. It's not like some shows where like, dude, that's just the same chick with different hair. You know what I mean? Like it's One Piece. Everybody has their own body and their own face. I do love the One Piece. I've got a theory about One Piece. I've got a theory that at the end of this adventure, you know, after like 1,400 episodes or whatever it's going to be, I've got this theory that they're going to get to the treasure chest and open it, and there's just going to be a mirror in there as they're all crowded around looking in this treasure chest. And that's when they're going to realize that the treasure was the friendship they've forged and the lessons they learned and the adventure they had. The true treasure was in them all along. And people are going to be so mad. But really, what else? I mean, okay, think about this. And obviously, I'm not privy to any, like, classified information. I'm just talking out my butt. What else is it going to be? It's not going to be like, after all of this shit they've gone through, Luffy's not going to open a treasure chest and be like, wow, look at this bum-ass ring. Like, it's... Any physical treasure thing he takes out of that box is like, I found the One Piece. Like, nothing is going to be good enough. It's not going to be good enough. It's going to be like gold-plated meat. And he's going to eat it. Or it's going to be like the, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly devil fruit, and they're going to go back to episode 1, and so they can relive the adventure all over again. And people are going to set themselves on fire. That's my theory. Yes.
You mentioned Dio. How do you feel? You played a lot of vampires over the years. How do you feel about how you starting out jobbing to Mr. Green as Luke Valentine? Now you're Dio.
Well, I'll tell you. Vampires are fun. And it's funny you mentioned Luke Valentine. Who here saw Hellsing? The original Hellsing. Who here saw Hellsing Ultimate? I got to live a lot longer in Ultimate. Like, I still got my ass kicked. I still died a horrible, horrible death. But at least the time between smack talk and annihilation was like 15 minutes longer. Because in the original show, I'm like, I'm so good, I'm going to be your death. Blam, blam. Ah! Ah! Like, that's about in real time. That's about as fast as it goes. And in Ultimate, there was like the smack talk, me dodging the spikes, me killing the people, and then the shooting of the legs and being devoured by the dog hand. So... And also, I'm getting closer and closer to killing Crispin Freeman with each passing year. In the shows, not like, I'm not gonna... Man, if he ever ends up dead, they're gonna look at this video and be like, we know who did it. No, because think about it, like, in Hellsing, he killed my ass. Like, there was no contest. But then there was Eureka 7. Like, I almost shot him in the junk. He killed me, but I made him work for it. And then there was a show called Kurokami, which I don't think anybody saw, where I had him on the ropes. And then, lucky break, he killed me. But incrementally, one of these days, I'm going to squeak out that victory. And I may have to retire at that point. Like, that might be... Because you want to leave on top, right? Like, that might have to be it. But I do love vampires. Vampire. Oh, the whole VB thing, that reminds me of a story. I'm going to tell you. See? This is a segue into a incidental story. So, Sailor Moon. Who here watches the Sailor Moon in either of its forms? No Peaches? I'm disappointed.
My sister watched the old one, but not.
So we were working on Sailor Moon, and I had the Sailor Scouts against the ropes, was fighting them. They were in a bad way. Victory was imminent. That's one thing about Sailor Moon, like... Kunzite really should stick around, because every time victory is imminent, he's like, all right, guys, there's no way you can defeat my evil plan, which is about 7 minutes from victory, but you guys seem pretty well screwed, so I'm going to leave. I'm going to go leave and report my victory to Queen Beryl. I hope nothing goes wrong. And then he leaves, and they get out of it, and then I'm like, wah, wah, sorry, Queen Beryl, I was wrong. Like, he should just stay for another 5 minutes, make sure they're dead, get the damn crystal, legendary silver crystal, and then go back. So anyway, had him on the ropes. I'm just blasting them with my energy attacks. And Sailor Venus, because this is the one where he's not gay. And that's so weird, because we recorded the one where Zoe Sight was my boyfriend, and then we're doing Crystal. I'm like, wait, what is this? Like, are we on the down low? What is this? So, on the ropes, and she's like, Kunzite, remember who you really are, because I'm all mind-controlled and evil, and she's trying to, like, reach out to the good me. And in the Japanese, he goes, Venus? Is what he says. But V's in Japanese are not always distinct. So what I hear, when we preview the line, she's like, remember who you really are. Penis? I laughed for like 10 minutes. The director and I were like crying, slapping our legs, like hunched over, red face, almost hyper, like it. And I was like, oh God, we have to record this. Like, right before I say my line, I'm gonna hear her be like, penis? Like that's gonna be a thing that I have to deal with in life. And we got through it, but it's one of those, it's like, man, I hope we get this on the first take. Because every time I have to hear her say that, it's just gonna get funnier and funnier. See, I like how you ask about vampires, and I answer you with penis. It's like an Anne Rice novel, I don't know. I should ask, because I don't know. How are we doing on time? Like 12:45? When am I? I'm going till 1, going to the hour? Oh! Okay. You're all like, keep it real. Damn straight you do. You.
If there's an anime that hasn't been dubbed yet, like what anime do you want to dub so badly and play a character?
See, I don't play that game no more. Well, no, I used to, but then you're just setting yourself up for heartbreak, because like, okay, there's a show you really like and you want to work on. First question, is it going to be dubbed? Second question, who's going to dub it? Is it going to be in LA? Is it going to be in Texas? Question 3, are you going to get to audition for it? Question 4, are you going to get to audition for that actual character? Like, the odds of you getting what you want, if you set yourself up for wanting it, are so low that it pans out so rarely that it's not worth the heartache. I used to do that. Now I try not to, because chances are I'm not going to get it, I'm not going to have access to it, I'm not going to get to read for it. And yeah, you could make the argument that auditioning for something when you know the characters, know the situation, does give you that slight leg up as far as the context. That is true. But it's offset by the fact that you want it so damn bad, which can mess with your audition. The ones where I go in and I don't know it and I'm like, well, I guess I did okay with that, are the ones I end up booking. When I walk in, I'm like, oh man, I wanted it so bad, or dude, I nailed that audition, I'm so booking that character, and then nothing. So it's almost better not to know. And these days too, thankfully, I mean, it's a good time to be an anime fan, because if auditions come up for something, odds are it's up on Crunchyroll, it's up on Hulu. Like, I can go and watch just enough of it to know what the hell is going on, and with a character without falling in love with it, which is handy. Yeah, I really don't have a good answer for that, just because it hurts my heart. I'm trying to save myself from that pain. Let me bop over here, and then I'll bop over back to you, front row. I'm gonna get to you. That's cool. Slow your roll. Yes.
Would you cosplay, and who would you cosplay? Or Halloween cosplay?
I would. I suck at Halloween so bad, because I always want to do something, and then I'm like, I either don't have like the time or the gumption to make it happen. So last minute I'm like, well, I've got this knit cap and a plaid shirt. I'm an evil lumberjack. I actually did that one year. It was so half-assed. Like, what makes him evil? I'm like, because it's Halloween. Evil lumberjack. Let me put it this way. I never have cosplayed. I wouldn't say that I never would, but the internet is a cruel place, and if I'm going to cosplay, I'm going to be hitting the gym first, because I cannot be the fat old voice actor who's cosplaying. Like, that's not that's not going to fly. I don't want to be a Reddit superstar. So, but I mean, I don't know. If I ever got super duper buff, I'm like, damn it, we're doing Gamagoori. I've already got blonde hair. Just give me some spikes. Yeah. Or I do something with a mask where no one would ever know. Because that's a thing. That'd be fun. You know, the whole time just like, it was me all along. Dio! No. It's very meta. Like, oh my God, I could just wear the stone mask and no one would know. But no one ever really wears the stone mask for too long. They like put it on and get changed. It's not really a walking around with an accessory, so that wouldn't work out. But yeah, no, I haven't closed my mind to the idea. I think it'd be fun, because I see people doing it and it looks like a lot of fun. But also, worth mentioning, I can't sew, I can't make stuff. Like, it'd have to be, you know, the internet would be like, oh my God, voice actor is cosplaying and he commissioned his outfit, why didn't he make it? He's so not legit. Like, I'd be that guy.
My brother did just put on an
So that works. I like that. Actually, today I'm cosplaying a voice actor who doesn't care about how he looks in front of people. My disheveled, uncombed hair. No, it's legit. This is the real thing. You think this is a wig, but it's real. And really messy. Of course, drying your hair and giving a damn, I don't know how you ladies do it. It's all I can do to condition. I'm like, conditioning? Fine. Fine. I guess. But then when I do, I'm so happy because then it doesn't tangle. Yay! I don't know. I just thought I'd grow my hair long while I still have hair to grow. It's not a midlife crisis, I swear. I hope not. Yes.
So you obviously did Gamagoori for Go.
Good question. Next. No, that was a statement. I'm kidding with you. Yes.
I don't think a lot of people have ever seen the amazing bloopers you've done. You should go into detail on what you've done.
On Kill I Kill?
Yeah, for those bloopers.
I'm trying to remember which ones. Here's the thing about bloopers. It happens in the moment, and then it's gone. Until the show comes out, and you're like, oh, it's not gone. It exists forever. And ever. Glad my mom doesn't understand the internet. Because usually, I mean, they record stuff like that, and it never sees the light of day. I know. Unless it's like, you know, Hitalia Paint It White. And then it sees the light of day. No. Well, that one too, that was the case of me going down to Texas, me being like, I've got all these hours on this show, and I have to record it all back to back because I got to get back to LA, so I'm going to do these 12-hour days. By the end of a 12-hour day, a couple 12-hour days, you're kind of loopy, and it's people you know the engineer, you know the director, you know the character, so you start saying stupid crap. And usually you say stupid crap, and they stop, and they reset, and you're like, haha, that was very funny. But sometimes the engineer just knows. They go for that button, and they're like, I'm going to let him run with it. I'm just going to let this play out and see what happens. And that's how you get, like, Hitalia Paint It White bloopers. When they just, no. Just let him run. Let's see what he's going to give us. How long is he going to go for? Oh, still going. He's still talking about cats. Making the fire his woman. So that all happened. And then one day, suddenly people are like, oh, my God, those bloopers. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Oh, my God, the Paint It White bloopers. You're crazy. What's wrong with you? You're insane. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, look online. So I look online. I'm like, 2 million views. What? What did I say? Oh. A tomato what? Whoa, hey. 5 cats or 5 Arby's? Whoa, hey. I need to get an Arby's t-shirt and, like, wear it to conventions. I actually have had people, like, message me and be like, oh, my God, I met my boyfriend like at Arby's, because I went in to be a customer and he was working the register and I quoted the thing about the cats and the Deutschmarks and he knew what I was talking about and love blossomed. So I'm glad the stupid things I say can help bring people closer together. That's my job. I'm just trying to make love connections with people in the anime world. Yes, and then I'll bop over there.
Oh, me or?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. How did you feel when you got the role for Fire Emblem for, I forgot his name, it's so hard to pronounce.
Basilio?
Yes, Basilio.
I feel good. I wish Basilio had been around more, though.
Yeah.
Like, he's there, and then he's gone, and then he comes back right at the end. Because I had this plan. I was going to make some babies, because that's what you do in Fire Emblem. You make the babies. In case anyone's like, what are you talking about? No, in Fire Emblem, you get the people together, and you make these soldiers, and they have their parents' powers, and so it's a little bit of mix and match. Well, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make these badass Basilio babies. Oh, wait, no, wah, he's gone for most of the game. And then he comes back right at the end, and you're like, baby time? No? Okay. Time for the final fight. Sorry, Basilio, no baby making for you. It's weird, though. I also directed the voiceover for Fire Emblem Awakening, and I feel bad because people will be like, oh, my God, you did such a great job on that. And they're not wrong. I mean, I did. No. But the thing about Fire Emblem, those of you that have played it, it's just like, huh? What? Oh, okay. It's just little 1-2 word things, and then you've got the one line where they're like, I guess you're not horrible, and maybe we could get married. Like, there's the marriage proposal acceptance line, and that's it. The rest of it is just text. So people are like, you did such a good job. I'm like, there was so little to do. We brought in good people who could say words, and they said like 30 words, and we were done. I can't take a lot of credit for that.
Did you get the marriage proposal?
Huh?
When Basilio marries Robin? Just think of all the...
I don't remember what he says. Remember too, this is just a general thing whenever, because I always feel bad when people are like, say the thing, and I'm like, I don't remember. We say it once, And that's the one time we've said it in life. Now, if we play the game, then we hear it 50 times. But if not, we've just said it the one. Because also, we say it like a couple times, and then they choose which one they're going to go with. Now, that's kind of a BS answer, because as the director, I should remember which one we went with, but I don't. Because I will also say, when you're directing a thing that you're working on, how it works is you're like, okay, we finished early with so-and-so. What are we going to do with the time? Throw your ass in the booth. And then you run in and you do your lines just to, like, make sure the time doesn't go to waste. Like, when I'm working on something, when I'm in a project that I'm also directing, they don't even schedule me. Because they just know, like, oh, you're going to finish up with that guy, like, half an hour early, so you can jump in for half an hour there. That dude's going to wrap up, and you're going to have a free hour, so jump in and do it there. You just end up doing your own character in little chunks, you know, as the time comes up. Which makes sense, but it doesn't lend itself to a very memorable recording experience. Because instead of doing 4 hours straight, you're doing, like, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, an hour there, 15 minutes here. So it's very choppy. I don't have the best memories it is, I'm just telling you. All that hard living. No, In the White.
How are you cast as Ragnar the Blooded?
That was weird only because there was a game called Neverland Card Battles that I think maybe one person in the world ever actually played. And the voice print was a lot like what I did with Ragnar, and the character design looked a lot like Ragnar. So I think having done that character, then when Blaze Blue came up, the studio in question was like, you know, we just heard him do this kind of character with that guy. We should have him be Ragnar. And it worked out, because usually that's not the sort of character I play. Traditionally, I mean, he's a little higher, a little younger, a little snarkier. Usually, you know, I feel like most places would cast me as, like, Tager. Like, oh, the big dude, be the big dude. So that was just kind of dumb luck. And again, I went in for my first session, and it was a fighting game. Like, oh, fighting game, we'll be out of here in an hour. And there's this gigantic 3-ring binder with the script. Because I didn't realize how Blaze Blue was like, story mode. I'm like, there's a fighting game, right? They're like, oh yeah, fighting game. I'm like, what is this madness? I'm not complaining, mind you. I'm just surprised. And thankfully, they've kept making them. Yeah. I mean, I think we'll get at least one more just to wrap stuff up. It's been a good run. Whether I die or not, because I don't know. The way that last one ended, I'm like, someone may have to make a heroic sacrifice. And I think it may have to be the dude that's been a jackass the whole time. I've done enough anime to know how this goes. Yeah, I love me the Blaze Blue. I'm not good at fighting games, but I play them. I can't remember the moves. Like, that's not... I can play Dark Souls and Demon Souls, and I can gut my way through that. But as far as, like, remembering the specific combos, not so much. I'm old! Pig hat. Isn't it a pig hat? No, it's a clock. No, it's Wait, lower your head. Oh, it is? Okay. With your head back, I just thought it was like... Oh, sorry about that. No worries. Why'd you lie to me? No, it's...
I'm a huge One Piece fan, so when I first heard you as Frankie, you have the perfect voice for it. So
oh, thank you.
It's great. You think we could get a super?
I think so. I think we can do that. Get my way. Super! I just want to be like Frankie in real life. I just want to be like a blue hair pompadour cut cyborg Hawaiian shirt wearing, like, with like his women's that like do his dance moves with him. It's a good life. It's a damn good life. I feel like Frankie sums up my anime career. Like, what's this anime all about? I'm like, he's a cyborg that runs on cola on a pirate ship with blue hair who rebuilt himself after getting hit by a train. Anime. How we do time-wise? We good? Oh, quick, Peaches, bring us home.
In order to prepare for your role as a Germany and Italia,
yes.
What did you really have to do? So it seems like, did you either learn about world history as a career, or did you just fake it? Did you just pull out the German voice and say, okay, let's do it?
I just faked it. No, I'll tell you, I almost did an audition for Hitalia because when the audition copy went out, the descriptions and the pictures they had of all the countries were the chibi forms. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at tiny little chibi Germany, who looks like he's like 5. I'm like, there's no way. I've never sounded that little. Like, I've sounded like this forever. It's no way, I'm not going to get it. Why should I even audition? I'm not going to get it. And my girlfriend was like, you know how you like complaining about not getting booked? I'm like, yeah, I love complaining about not getting booked. She's like, if you don't read for it, you don't get to complain. And I was like, well, damn, I like complaining. Fine, I'll audition for it, but I'm not going to get it. Got it. I did the same thing for Black Butler. Because that came down around the same time. By the time they contacted me, they were only looking for Agni and Soma. And I was like, I don't have an Indian accent. Like, you have accents that are already in your bag of tricks, and you have ones that you work on as they come up. I didn't already have an Indian accent in my bag of tricks. I was like, man, this is going to be racist and half-assed. I'm not even going to read for it. My girlfriend's like, you want to complain? I'm like, yes, I want to complain. I'll audition, but I'm not going to get it. Oh, I booked it. Oh, there we go. And that was a weird thing because we recorded those at the same time. So there'd be days where I'd start the day doing Germany, then do Agni, then go back to doing Germany. That's weird in your head when you're trying to keep the accent straight because you don't want to slide from the one into the other. Weird times. But do I have time? Do I have time? Super quick question.
Also, speaking of accent, you've also done Russian, correct?
Yes. For do rah 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 rah? Yes. True. That was a good question. That was a quick question. I wasn't expecting that.
So earlier you were talking about fighting games, and one of the fighting games you worked on was Scoville, where you voiced Samson.
Yes.
So how was the experience voicing Samson in a small fight like Scoville is different than the experience from doing like a large anime like Black Belt?
I mean, a two-hour session ripping your throat up for a small game is the same as a 2-hour session ripping your throat up for a big game. Really, I mean, as far as my experience, didn't really differ. I mean, yeah, same kind of thing. Same feeling of like going home, being like, I'm just gonna drink some tea and not talk for a while. That's a good question though. It's a good question. But yeah, no, as far as in the booth, same deal, same kind of thing.